This video was made possible by EA Game Changers. So guys, last week I was at DICE in Stockholm and I actually got to check out some of the brand new weapons that are coming to Battlefield 5 in the upcoming War in the Pacific DLC. And I know you guys have been busting to see the M1 Garand in action, but the question is it any good? Well guys, this is BillyEatWorld again, and let's find out. Alright, so to kick off, I'd be pretty surprised if you haven't heard of the Garand. It's probably the most iconic infantry weapon of the Second World War. And yes, it is actually Garand and not Garand, because it was actually designed by a Canadian guy called John Garand back in 1928. In 1936, it was adopted as the standard issue rifle of the US military, and it was so good that General George S. Patton during the Second World War famously said it was the greatest battle implement ever devised. And all up, about 4.5 million ended up being produced, and it remained in US service until 1959, when it was eventually replaced by the M14, which was basically just an upgraded Garand anyway. Now, the reason the Garand was so much better than the bolt-action Springfield rifle it replaced is because it was designed with a gas-operated semi-automatic action. And not just that, but it also had an 8-rounds internal magazine, so not only could you fire it faster than a bolt-action rifle, you could fire more shots as well before reloading. It probably wasn't as accurate, but it still fired a full-sized rifle rounds, which admittedly by about 1943 was starting to make it kind of obsolete next to guns like the Sturmgewehr. But in saying that though, even though it probably wasn't the most up-to-date weapon on the battlefield at the end of the war, it still got the job done, and most importantly, it made that iconic ping sound when the clip ejected. Now, bearing all of that in mind, the in-game Garand also fires in semi-auto mode, it also has an 8-round magazine, and it also loads with clips. And with a rate of fire of 360 RPM, that puts it in line with some of the other assault SLRs like the Turner SMLE and the MAS 44. Now, all of those guns have a 3-shot kill out to about 50 meters, and then you're looking at a max of about a 4-shot kill at any ranges beyond that. And that's not too bad on the Turner and the MAS, but if you haven't already spotted the problem with the Garand, well, it's got 2 less bullets in the mag, and there's no way to upgrade that. Not just that, but it doesn't have a detachable mags option either, which means you're always going to be reloading from slower clips. And admittedly, they're not stripper clips, they're end block clips, which are a bit faster, but with only 8 rounds and 4 shots to get a kill, you're going to be hitting the long reload time a fair bit. With that being said though, what it does have that the MAS and the Turner doesn't is a heavy load spec option which raises the damage model to a guaranteed 3-shot kill at the expense of rate of fire, which basically brings it into line with guns like the G43. And sure, it's probably a bit easier to control than this one, but once again, it doesn't have a detachable mags option. So with that being said, if you don't just want to use the G43 instead, I'd say you absolutely want to pick the heavy load and the reload speed buff on your spec tree all the time, which is kind of a shame because there's actually a pretty interesting option of rifle grenades down the bottom left, which you can pretty much never pick. I mean, you can play around with some of the stock options on the left-hand side if you really want, but all they're really going to do is make it more accurate than it already is. And honestly, that's not the problem with this gun. It's more than accurate at mid to long range. The problem is you run out of bullets before you can get the kill a lot of the time. Now, even bearing all of that in mind, I still know people are going to say when it comes out that it's awesome, because look, it is so iconic, and that really does count for something. But on raw stats alone, if you want to spam the trigger, you're still probably going to want the M1 Carbine or the Beretta, or for longer ranges, you're going to want the Turner or probably just the G43. And ultimately the main reason is because of the new death loop in Battlefield 5. More people spawn on teammates now than they ever did in previous games. And that means you're always going to be fighting groups of players, which means that any gun that can't consistently take out more than one enemy with a single mag probably just isn't worth using. But anyway, guys, that just about wraps up this quick review. So as always, make sure you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And just by the way, I've got a ton of other footage of some of the other weapons in the Pacific DLC that I'm waiting to show you guys. So if you're interested in some more weapon reviews, please check back in the next couple of days because I'll have some more up right here on this channel. As always, though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and please feel free to check out the links in the description if you want to see any more of these videos. And don't forget, you can find my Twitter and Discord links down there as well if you want to keep in touch. And as always, until next time, see you later, and have a good one.